Salut tout le monde. Aujourd'hui, on va regarder le partitif. Hello, everybody. Today we're going to look at partitive articles. Partitive is used very frequently with food, with lots of other things too, but most importantly with food, to say that you are having some of something or part of something. So let's look at the partitive together. Partitive articles mean some or any. And the partitive, at least when we're talking about food, is often used with these verbs: manger, to eat; prendre, to take; boire, to drink; vouloir, to want. There are other verbs that use the partitive, but these are some common ones, especially when dealing with food and drinks. So when you eat something, sometimes you eat one of it, sometimes you eat it, but often you just say you eat some. Like I eat some bread is je mange du pain. So instead of le or un, we're going to say du. I don't say je mange le pain, I eat the bread, specific. I don't say je mange un pain, I eat a bread. That feels weird. Instead, I just say je mange du pain, I eat some bread. Another example with prendre. Elle prend de l'eau is she's having some water. Instead of she's having l'eau, the water, or she's having une eau, a water, instead we're just going to say de l'eau to say some. Two more examples. Ils boivent de la limonade. They're having some limonade, lemon soda. Or je veux des escargots. I want some snails, which are delicious. The partitive is not usually used with these verbs listed below that use definite articles le, la, l apostrophe, les. You probably have seen this already. Aimer, to like; adorer, to love; détester, to hate; préférer, to prefer. Verbs that have to do with preferences and liking usually use le, la, l apostrophe, or les definite articles. Definite articles translate as the in English or the. And actually, in English, we usually don't have them in these sentences. So we just say, I like pizza, I love fries, I hate ham, I prefer tea. If it's one of those scenarios where in English we eliminate the article, in French we often have definite articles. J'aime la pizza, j'adore les frites. If you want the entire thing, it is perfectly acceptable to use the indefinite article un or une. Like if I said je prends une tarte, I'm at the bakery buying the whole apple pie. Je prends une tarte, I will take one pie. But if I'm at home eating it, yes, I might eat the whole pie. But if I just want some of it, a piece, I would say je prends de la tarte. I'm having some pie. How much pie? We don't know. It could be like a slice, or it could be like in cartoons where they cut out a slice and then eat the bigger piece. All I know is I'm having some pie, so a piece of it. De la tarte is the partitive saying I'm having part of the pie. If you are having the entire item, you can have un or une, or le or la. So je mange le poulet is I eat chicken, and that sounds like it is the whole thing. Just in general, I eat chicken. But if I want to tell you I'm having some chicken today, je mange du poulet, that sounds a little bit more normal, and it just says I'm eating some of it. In English, the partitive can be left out. You don't always say some or any. In French, you always need an article, whether it's definite, le, la, indefinite, un, une, or partitive, du, de, la. No matter what, you need something in front of your noun. In English, I can say, she's eating cheese. But in French, I need this partitive du. Elle mange du fromage. She's eating some cheese. In English, I can say, I want ice cream. In French, I need je voudrais de la glace, some of the ice cream. In English, I'm having pizza. In French, je prends de la pizza. I'm having some pizza. I can't leave it out and just say elle mange fromage. Je voudrais glace. Je prends pizza. Something's missing. So here are the partitive articles. To form them, you use the preposition de, and you follow de with a definite article, le, la, l apostrophe, les. However, there are contractions. De and le form du. and de and les form des. And I repeated myself here that in English it can be omitted, in French it cannot. Let's look at these four forms, du, de la, de L apostrophe, and des a little more closely. If you are eating or having or drinking a masculine item, you never have de le side by side. De le will contract to form the word du. Ils boivent du café. They're having some tea. They're drinking some tea. Ils boivent du café. De and la stay side by side. They do not contract. Tu prends de la pizza? Are you having some pizza? De and L apostrophe do not contract. Je bois de l'eau. I drink some water. And then de and les do combine to form the word des. Elle mange des éclairs. Pardon, she's eating some éclairs. So these are the four forms of the partitive. Du, masculine. De la, feminine. De L apostrophe for singular vowel sounds. Des for all things plural, even if it's a vowel. If it's a vowel, I hear the S more. Des éclairs. You are going to have some instances where you just use de and do not make changes, or you'll have a D apostrophe in front of a vowel sound. Those exceptions are negatives. So if you see ne pas, quantities. So if you see a bottle, a piece, a slice, a lot of, you're going to use de. And then also some idiomatic expressions like avoir besoin de, to have need of, avoir envie de, to feel like. Those might use it as well. I forgot to put them on here. So if you have a negative, je ne bois pas d'eau. I don't drink any water. Je ne bois pas d apostrophe instead of what I had up here, de l'eau. To make it negative, we always use de or d apostrophe. Treat it like the word any. I don't drink. Oh, that should say drink. Oops. Sorry. I don't drink any water. Apparently, I don't think either. If you have a quantity like une bouteille de, a bottle of, une bouteille de becomes de, and the de does not change no matter what. You'll never say une bouteille de la, une bouteille de. You just leave it de or d apostrophe. I think I re-explained that idea here. That du, de la, de L apostrophe, they always become de in a negative sentence. Non, il n'y a pas de lait. No, there's not any milk. Je ne prends pas de thé. I don't have any tea. Elle boit une bouteille d'eau, a bottle of water, drinks. Je prends un morceau de fromage, a piece of cheese. Beaucoup de chocolat, a lot of chocolate. We tend to want to work a little bit too hard and make this beaucoup de because the next word's probably plural. Like if I had a lot of books, I'm tempted to make everything match like I normally do in French and say beaucoup de livres because they're plural. That doesn't happen. It's always beaucoup de. Beaucoup de or beaucoup d apostrophe. Another way to think of this is that you use the partitive with non-count nouns, aka I can't count how much. Like if I say you have some bread, I can't count how much bread you have. It's one of those vague kind of ideas. So I would use the partitive there instead of saying, oh, you have a bread or you have one bread. Bread is a non-count item. Pizza can be a non-count item. If I'm not saying slices of, then I'm just saying she's having some pizza. So if it's an idea where I use some, or in English I just say she's having bread, she's having pizza, that is a non-count noun. Count nouns are whole items that you consume by themselves, like a donut, a muffin, a banana, an apple. If it's something that you don't share and you eat the whole thing yourself, that is a count noun, and you'll probably use un, une, le, or la. I wrote definite here, but actually it's indefinite usually. You'll use un or une, indefinite articles for these count nouns. Des you use with everything. If you're having some croissants, the word is des croissants. So des doesn't really do the count, non-count thing. It's just plurals. So let's take all of that and practice for a second. For example, the word beurre. Is that count or non-count? Do you say some butter or do you say a butter? I'm going to say some butter, du beurre. That way it's an unspecified amount that I'm putting on my toast, du beurre. Frites will be des frites, some fries, plural. They're feminine, but it doesn't matter here, des frites. Bread, will I say some bread or a bread? I'm going to say some bread. It's masculine, so du pain. Why don't you pause this tape and look at the rest and see if you can guess what they might be? So pause right here. I will pause too and see if you can make a guess before we keep going. Banane is plural. I'm going to say des bananes. Pomme, I'm probably not going to say de la pomme. I'm probably not having some of apple. I'm having the whole thing. Une pomme is what I would put. Now, everything depends on the situation. Maybe I'm cutting some of the apple. Tu veux de la pomme? Do you want some of it? But I'll probably just say une pomme. Now, numéro 6, escargot. I don't want some of the snail. It's this big. I want the whole thing. Un escargot. Fromage. I don't usually say a cheese. I'll say some cheese. So du fromage. Cafe, I feel like it depends. I could talk about the cup itself and say a coffee, but I could also say du café. Maybe I'm pouring you some. So that one, it depends on what quantity of coffee I'm having, I think. Orange, plural, des oranges. And then éclair, I am not sharing that. I want un éclair. I want the whole thing. I'm not offering you de l'éclair and giving you some of the éclair. No, sir. Hopefully this helps you understand a little bit more these forms of du, de la, de, des, and when to use them. This is called the partitive. It's used with verbs like manger, prendre, boire, with consuming some of something. And there are 4 forms usually, du, de la, de L apostrophe, and des, with the exception of negatives and specific quantities. Au revoir.